Hi everyone, my name is Meng, and today I'll talk about our study comparing functional connectivity while shifting attention in physical space and social knowledge. In everyday life, we have to mentally represent and reason about lots of different social relationships between other people, like who is friend with whom or who is higher status than whom. But we know very little about how the brain supports this ability. One possibility is that common neural mechanisms support processing social and spatial information. Indeed, in daily life, we use spatial terms such as top of the pecking order and low status to describe social relations. In this study, we tested how the human brain navigates knowledge of social relations, and does social cognition have connections to other mental operations, such as spatial cognition. We did an fMRI study with human participants. First, they completed a behavioral task where they learned a social hierarchy of 9 people by trial and error. They guessed who is more powerful than who, and then they got feedback on whether they guessed correctly or not. This way, people were able to infer the relative power status of all 9 people without seeing the 9 people in any spatial configuration. Next, they completed the second task while being scanned in an fMRI scanner. In this task, they were asked questions like, if you were given this person, who is the other person that's 2 steps less powerful than her? They were given 6 seconds to find the answer, and we were interested in participants' brain activity during the 6 seconds, where participants were mentally traversing their knowledge of the social hierarchy. In another fMRI task, which was seemingly irrelevant to the social task, participants shifted their attention in the physical space by simply moving their eyes to follow a cross on the screen, and we examined their brain activity during this task. After getting out of the scanner, participants were asked to arrange the 9 people in the social hierarchy in whatever spatial configuration that they thought best represented their relative power. And later in our analysis, we related their brain activities during the spatial task and the social task based on their spatial configuration of the social hierarchy. For example, some people arrange the faces vertically with the most powerful person at the top. If that's the case, we compared the brain activity patterns when people shifted attention upward in the space to when people navigated upward, so to speak, in their knowledge of the social hierarchy. Our main hypothesis was in the superior parietal lobe, because this region has been shown by many studies to have a role in directing attentional shifts in external space, and we hypothesized that the SPL also encodes attentional shifts in knowledge of social relations. In this pattern similarity analysis, we computed whether the multivoxel patterns for the same direction or matching direction of attentional shifts are more similar to each other compared to multivoxel patterns for different or mismatching directions of attentional shifts. If the multivoxel patterns in the SPL for the same direction are more similar to each other compared to different directions, then we know that the SPL encodes the direction of attentional shifts. We found that is indeed the case. That is to say, the pattern similarity is higher for matching directions than for mismatching directions. This is true for bilateral SPL in both social and spatial tasks, so the multivoxel patterns in SPL encode the direction of attentional shifts both in social knowledge and in space. We also looked at whether the multivoxel patterns in SPL were decodable across the social and spatial tasks. This analysis is similar to the previous within-task analysis, except that this time the directions of attentional shifts were matched across the 2 tasks based on participants' responses to the last behavioral task, where they rearranged the social hierarchy. Here we found that the pattern similarity was not significantly higher for matching directions compared to mismatching directions. So we did not find any evidence that the SPL encoded the directions of attentional shifts in social knowledge and in external space in the same way. How about the other brain regions? We repeated the pattern similarity analysis in the whole brain and found considerable overlap in the brain regions that encoded the direction of attentional shifts in both social and spatial tasks, particularly in the parietal and occipital cortex. But again, these brain regions did not encode the directions of attentional shifts in the two domains in the same way. We have also obtained very similar results when using another type of classification analysis, both within each of the domains and across the two domains. Additionally, we analyzed the functional connectivity using the SPL as a seed region. Again, we found some overlap between the functional connectivity patterns during the social task and the spatial task, as shown in the figures here. So a few takeaway points from the studies are, first, the SPL has a long established role in directing attentional shifts in external space, but here we found that the multivoxel response patterns in the SPL also encodes the directions of attentional shifts in social knowledge. Second, shifting attention in space and social knowledge is encoded by largely overlapping brain regions, especially in parietal and occipital regions, but it encodes the attentional shifts in different domains with distinct multivoxel patterns. Third, the overlapping encoding patterns are also reflected in the functional connectivity between the SPL and other regions. So one reason that the SPL may be involved in shifting attention in space and in social knowledge is that its connectivity profile with other brain regions facilitates performing analogous mental operations on diverse contents. A lot of these were exploratory analysis, but in the future, we plan to use similar methods to gain insights into these topics, such as how the brain supports many different kinds of abstract social cognition and how this relates to other kinds of mental processing. Thank you for watching this video.